Hey! Hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So, with the recent release of the video game Rage 2, a particular criticism, a specific remark, has resurfaced and is being used quite frequently by a great many to label Rage 2 with. From YouTubers, reviewers, critics, commenters, aloiting the same phrase. This game isn't worth $60. Now, I'm sure you've heard this statement before, over many years, within the video game community describing and critiquing reviewing video games. But it's only with the recent release of Rage 2, and with its reviews and the critiques it is receiving containing the sentiment that only now have I come to ponder, to ask the question around the idea of this video game isn't worth X amount of money, it's worth this amount of money. This thought process, it has brought me to ask the question, how the fuck do we quantify this? How do we prove this? Have any of you ever thought about this, had this discussion before? Because I believe it's one we really need to have. If we're going to have conversations about art, about products, if we're going to have debates about them, particularly around their objective and subjective natures, well, I believe it's only fair and in our best interest to do some self-reflection and ask these questions to ourselves, debate with ourselves, and discuss amongst each other, is this a fair, valid, rational criticism to be labeling onto video games? Honestly, really think about it. How do we prove, how do we calculate a video game's dollar value, dollar worth? Where do we even begin? The amount of content in a game? If we're going to start from there, that only brings up another question, opens up a whole other can of worms. How much game content is worth $1? What is the dollar worth of an individual video game weapon, cosmetic, level, or map? What methods do we use to assign dollar value to those things? If we look into actual asset creation within video games, it varies wildly in development process depending on graphics engine, developer methods, coding in general. Then we have other additions like concept art and audio design to consider as well. How much of that adds on or subtracts from the dollar worth calculation? Oh yeah, I got the gears in your head turning, don't I, motherfucker? You never took any of this shit into consideration when you were going around labeling games as not worth $60. Oh, this game's only worth $20. Yeah. How do you quantify? How do you calculate? How do you prove that dollar worth? What methodology do we utilize? And even if we come to an agreement on what methodology to use, it brings up the whole other question and can of worms of how do we prove that this method for calculating the dollar worth of a video game is objective, factual, fair, and honest. Video games are massively complicated works of art and products. They can have hundreds to thousands to millions of dollars worth in development budget. So how do we prove that an indie video game that perhaps uses an old school pixelized art style has more dollar value than the 3D blockbuster AAA video game with high definition realistic textures? How do we prove that the open world video game is worth less or more to a linear scripted video game? How do we prove which game type is worth more money? Multiplayer or single-player video games? And with only a few exceptions, particular individual video games as a whole are totally unique from one another, totally separately designed and developed beasts, with varying context behind all of them. So I ask once again, how in the fuck do we prove that Rage 2 isn't worth $60? How do we prove any video game isn't worth $60, or worth more than $60, worth $20, more or less than $20? How do we prove this shit? And keep in mind, I've been trying to keep this topic solely as objective as possible, but then there's the whole other son of a bitch that is subjectivity, personal tastes, preferences, and opinions. I hate to say this, but there is no way to prove or calculate how much fun a particular individual is going to have with any video game. We as individuals can find enjoyment and value in objectively flawed or poor products and art. So, oh man, that just leads us into, how does the dollar value of a video game determine how much fun you're going to have have with it? Why would I enjoy a video game more or less depending if I bought it for $60 or $20? Whether I bought it at full price or reduced price, how would that determine how much fun I as an individual would have with that individual video game? And this leads us to yet another whole other set of questions. Why are you even buying video games at $60 at full price to begin with? Doesn't matter the quality of the game or its critical reception. Why aren't you waiting for sales, reduced prices? Hell, even looking for opportunities to get the game for free. Sure, this video game may be recommended, but don't you want to save money in general? Do you see how deep this fucking rabbit hole goes? And all of this right here is just yet another example of why I am always at odds with the video game community. Everyone just wants to be a basic bitch and not think about what they say or write. Honestly, how many of you who have used the critique of, oh, this video game isn't worth X amount of money, how many of you have really thought about the details and all of the implications behind that statement? And for me personally, I find it totally worthless critique. It tells me nothing about the attributes of a video game. Oh, this video game isn't worth $60. It's like worth $20. Based on what? Based on the length of the game, completion time? That's going to be unique to the individual depending on how they play the game, if they take their time with the game, if they fool around. What if they choose to replay the game over and over again? Does that add to the dollar value? Does that add to length and completion time? Like, again, you've told me nothing. Or are we going on quality of the content of the game? If we're going on the quality of the content in the game, then I have to bring into question your stance on objectivity and the quality of art. Also, once again, to reiterate, price tag and dollar worth tells me nothing about how much I will personally enjoy the video game. So effectively, you've just wasted my fucking time and told me absolutely nothing that will influence my decision on whether or not I will play the game. And once again, for me personally, I don't know about you, but I go out of my way to save money on video games, get them at reduced prices, on sale, for free if possible. The last video games I bought at full price were Doom and Titanfall 2 back in 2016. Hell, I even paid more than full price, more than $60, because I purchased all the additional DLC content with those games. Since then, since 2016, I have never purchased another video game at full price. In this economy, I have bills to pay, I have groceries to buy. I'm not buying fucking video games at full price. Why would I not want to save money? No matter the quality of the video game, the most responsible and most beneficial action you can take as a consumer is to save money. Now, of course, if you want to support a particular developer studio and you want to throw as much money at them as possible for their work, I completely understand that and support that. We are all fans of something. But getting back on track to the actual point, the statement, the critique on dollar worth in video games, as I have demonstrated in this video, it's not as simple as so many others present it. And honestly, I would even go as far as to argue that it's borderline irresponsible to be using this as a form of critique in a review. It muddies the waters. It raises too many questions. How did you come to the conclusion of this game's dollar worth? Was it objective? Do you use the same techniques and judge every single video game this way? Do you give some games special treatment? If so, why so? This is messy, isn't it? So many utilize this as a throwaway line, but it is a topic we can debate about for fucking days. And the thing is, this topic has been present for years, but only now have I come to realize it. With the release of Rage 2, this big dumb silly first-person shooter has opened up so many doors for debate and really questioning how we review video games. Not just with the whole, oh, this game isn't worth $60 remark, but also, as just another example, this video game is repetitive. That's another label I see being thrown onto Rage 2. This game is repetitive, but all video games are repetitive. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, The Last of Us, Nier Automata, they're all repetitive. There's not a single video game in existence that isn't repetitive, that doesn't have you repeating the same actions and patterns over and over again. That's one aspect that all video games share. That's what all video games are if you boil them down to their core: repetition. So if you're citing a video game to be repetitive as a negative, well, you're objectively wrong. And that would imply that all video games share this flaw. Every video game that ever was made and ever will be made partaking in this supposed negative. Which, once again, just to reiterate and confirm that this is objectively not a negative, not a flaw within video games. That's just the nature of all activity, of all life in general. All video games are repetitive. So it's a non-criticism, it's worthless information. It doesn't inform me of the quality of the game, nor if I will personally enjoy it. I really believe that we need to start holding ourselves and each other far more accountable for the things we say and write. There's just so much misinformation and fake news about video games out there. I mean, granted, these are first world problems, but there is potential, there is room for productive debate, discussion, personal growth, using these video games as a catalyst. I find that there's just too much pettiness, too much basic bitch bullshit going on in the video game community right now. People trying to overtly simplify and overtly complicate things at the same time. And of course, the dreaded far too much of conflating objectivity with subjectivity. Your feelings are not facts. I repeat, your feelings are not facts. Why is this so hard for so many people? And to think, we're getting this all from Rage 2. Rage 2 of all games. Ah, life, the crazy roller coaster ride of unexpected that it is. Now, please keep in mind that if you vehemently disagree with the premise of this video or anything I have stated, I am open for voice chat debate via Discord. My Discord contact ID is in the description of this video and all my recent videos. Just saying. Anyways, that's been a video. I hope you liked the video. If you did indeed like the video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button. Hitting the like button up too helps me, helps everybody involved in the video. If you hit the like button, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. I love reading comments. Getting nearly enough comments, please leave a comment. If you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, well, there's always Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video, and I'll see you all later.